Soldier Memories respectfully introduces the memoir titled Combat Soldier by Lieutenant General Hero of the People's Armed Forces Trioak Swan Hoa. We invite you to start following Part 1. Before we step back into the smoke and fire of the battlefield to relive these unforgettable memories, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps ensure that the sacrifices and the youth of these soldiers are never forgotten. Now let's return to the front lines. In 1970, when I was in 8th grade at the high school of Lapthach District, Vinefas Province, I already wanted to join the army. At that time, my hometown had a very bustling enlistment movement. I was born on December 23, 1954, and had to wait another year to be old enough to enlist. To be called for a health check, I went to the Commune People's Committee to meet Mr. Ung Theo, the Commune military commander, asking to correct my birth year from 1954 to 1953, specifically December 23, 1953. Back then, correcting birth certificates was so easy. So I was old enough, but when I went for the checkup, I only weighed 37 kilograms and was 1 meter 53 tall with B2 health classification and failed. Had to wait. By early 1972, early 10th grade, I was called for a health check again. This time I weighed 42 kilograms and was 1 meter 57 tall. I believed I would pass. Even before there was any decision about joining the army, a sergeant platoon leader named Duong from Abak came to my house to verify my background. At that time, people rumored that anyone who went for a health check, met the standards passed, and had someone come to their house to verify their background like that, would definitely join the Special Forces. At that time, I asked Brother Duong, and he also revealed that we would join a Special Forces unit. Although I didn't know anything about Special Forces, I heard that Special Forces soldiers were proficient in martial arts, slipping through fences, climbing walls like lizards, going in and out of enemy posts, as if entering an unpopulated place, which made me extremely excited. On December 3, 1972, I received the official enlistment notice, requiring me to be present at the troop handover location on December 16, 1972. So I said goodbye to my class. My homeroom teacher was Miss Nguyen Thien Hong, who taught history. Her house was on Hang Shua Street, Hanoi. She was only about 6 or 7 years older than me. Her husband was also a teacher named Chu Tak Nan. Later, the teachers returned to Hanoi to teach, and it wasn't until 1984, during a leave from Cambodia, that I met her again. Later, she suffered from cancer while she was being treated at the French hospital in Vietnam. I visited her. When I became the division commander of Division 5 every year, I met my old teachers. Returning to the enlistment story that year, my 10th grade class had more than 50 people joining the army. This batch had 8 people. I remember Dien Thu later went to Military Region 5 and sacrificed. In the class at that time, only I was selected for the Special Forces. The day before we left, the class organized a farewell party called a sweet party with only a few candies and cakes, but very happy and touching. The teacher and female friends in the class gave each of us joining the army a handkerchief and a bag containing a toothbrush and a tube of toothpaste. This was the first time in my life I received a gift. I kept the handkerchief until the day the South was completely liberated. During the whole week before leaving, almost no meal did I eat at home. Relatives invited me to eat at every house. They insisted on inviting if they couldn't invite for lunch. They invited for breakfast, if not breakfast, then dinner. Relatives invited, of course, but non-relatives also invited, and I had to go to eat all. The affection for those joining the army in my village at that time was like that. On the afternoon of December 15, 1972, my family prepared a meal for relatives to eat and say goodbye to me before enlistment. Don't know why that meal had pork. My family at that time had a pig about 20 kilograms, but according to regulations it was not allowed to be slaughtered but had to be saved to raise big to sell as an obligation to the state. Turns out my granduncles and uncles invited each other to buy a pig down in Kao Phong commune on the way back, put it down into the field, drowned it dead, returned home, lied that they went to buy a breeding pig, it died on the way, so asked the commune for permission to slaughter. So there was pork for the party. During the meal, my maternal grandmother kept picking food for me. She scooped a chunk of pig trotter as big as a fist, put it into my bowl, saying, "Eat, grandson, tomorrow joining the army, who knows if there will be anything to eat." I choked inside, trying to eat to make her happy. On December 16th, after breakfast, I left. My father and classmates, friends, neighbors came to take me to the commune assembly point. Miss Hong, the homeroom teacher, also came. She came to the house of every student joining the army to see them off. Everyone wished me luck on the way. Before leaving, I ran into the house to greet my mother, saying, "Goodbye, Mom, I'm going." Then my mother burst out crying loudly again. They took my child away again, meaning the American aggressors took me away. I told my mother, "Oh, my joining the army is nothing." I pretended to be tough like that. The spirit at that time was all like that. We went to the assembly point at Ho An. The whole Dong Thin commune enlisted this time with 38 people. My Triu family alone had 5 uncle and nephews, including Uncle Trio Xuan Tayo, Uncle Triu Duk Ma, 3 nephews, Triju Duk Ngon Treo Tiandin, and me. Also among the 38 enlisted people, only 8 were selected for Special Forces. Among the 8 people in Special Forces, my family had 4 people: Tre Duk Ngong Tri Yu Tian Din Tre Yu, Yu Bun Kwao, and me. The rest were put into the infantry. We gathered in the temple grounds of Xuan Loi commune here. Which branch went to which branch? My Special Forces branch was issued military uniforms along with hats, shoes, sandals, backpacks, while the infantry brothers had not seen being issued yet. I was issued set number 3, which was the smallest number, but wearing it still didn't fit. Pants had to be rolled up several cuffs. After issuing military equipment disseminating the marching plan, the commander allowed us to return home to sleep one night. The next day, returned to the assembly point to march to the unit. I wore the full military uniform, walking straight home to present myself to my parents. The whole family was very happy. That night, everyone stayed up late. I also couldn't sleep, just lying thinking vaguely about the upcoming days in the military. The next morning, I carried my backpack back to Xuan Loi. The whole Lapthach district going to Special Forces had 52 people in total. All of us gathered in a temple, ate lunch there. Lunch was rice balls we prepared ourselves. On the afternoon of December 17th, we marched to Bay V, where my Special Forces unit was stationed. Before marching, unexpectedly, my mother and Mrs. Oyenho's mother came to visit. Only had time to say a few greeting sentences. I had to hurriedly stand in the marching line. When having gone a long distance, looking back, still saw the small, thin figures of my mother and Ho's mother standing there. We marched on foot. Walking for me at that time was also normal, because at home I went to school walking too. The house was nearly 10 kilometers from the school. Walking didn't feel tired at all. Marching for the first time felt very majestic, feeling elated. After 2 days and 2 nights of marching, on the morning of December 19th, we arrived at the unit's stationing location in Cam Line Hamlet, Ngosnai Commune, Bavi District, Hatay Province, now belonging to Hanoi. Here I was assigned to Squad 1 of Platoon 1 Company, 18 Battalion 29, Regiment 62, Division 305, Special Forces Command. The squad leader of Squad 1 was Brother Nung from Abak. At first, coming to the new house felt nice, but after arriving in Bay V for a few days, I started to feel homesick. This side was Bay V Mountain, looking to the other side was Tamdale Mountain. Seeing even Sang Mountain in my hometown every afternoon, homesickness was unbearable. 8 people from the commune joining Special Forces with me. Later, 2 sacrificed, the rest returned wounded. The 2 sacrificed were Nguyen Van Su and Hong Van Chuk from the same hamlet as me. A few years ago, we found Chus's grave and brought it to the commune cemetery, but Su still hasn't been found. Luckily, all 5 uncle and nephews of my family returned. Trio Xuan Theo Mr. Theo is my distant uncle, but same age as Trio Duk Ngon Triu, Tiandin, and me. There was another uncle named Trio Duk Min who went to infantry. He is the biological uncle of Trio Tiandin. Uncle Trio Xuan Theo went to learn nursing, joined a tank unit after liberation in 75, was discharged. Uncle Trio Duk Min went to infantry, joined Regiment 66. Trio Duk Ngon went to B to turn line in a Special Forces unit of Military Region 6 and was wounded. Trio Tiandin was also a wounded soldier, retired. Due to loss of strength, only I remained in active service. After 1 month of training, the company was rearranged. Not following provincial units, each company had to have both troops from Vien Phu Province and troops from Atay Province. I was then transferred to Squad 4 of Platoon 4 Company 19 Battalion 29, stationed in Phu Mai A Hamlet, Phu Sun Commune, Bay V District. The squad leader of Squad 4 at that time was Brother Do Kim Than, born in 49 from Tuyen Quang Province. In the early days at the unit, we were fed according to infantry standards, which was 6 how 8 a day, eating like that, Felt very happy, much better than at home. After the December 22nd ceremony entering branch training, the food allowance was increased to 1 dong 2 hyo a day. Every meal was like a feast. Everyone in the unit gained weight. I went from 43 kilograms to 60 kilograms after just 1 year of training. Eating was like that, but training was also very heavy and hard. The infantry only trained for 3 months, while we had to train for a year before being sent to the battlefield, covering all subjects of the branch. Training days lasted from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock both day and night. There were technical subjects like crossing spiked trenches under the scorching sun, wearing only shorts and weapons, crawling close to the laterite trench walls. There were very difficult movements such as crawling low combined with throwing satchel charges through loopholes into enemy bunkers, while the loopholes of bunkers were structured with steps narrowing inward to prevent throwing satchel charges. Each of us, with 8 satchel charges, had to practice over and over again for many days until every throw the satchel charge went straight into the bunker to meet the requirement. The skill of throwing satchel charges into bunkers until now, after many years, I still perform very accurately. The subject of detecting and removing mines, the movement of removing mines, had training aids. In the training aid, a detonator was attached if practicing the wrong movement, the mine firing pin sprang, hitting the detonator, burning and smoke emitting. When practicing mine detection operation, I let the detonator pop once, seeing that squad leader Do Kim then didn't let me sleep at noon, forced me to learn mine detection and removal all afternoon out by the guava tree. Once during an exercise, Nguyen Van Mui in Squad 2 and I practiced attacking bunkers, each attacking a bunker with 8 explosive charges, of which 6 charges attacked 2 bunkers, 2 charges for clearing other bunkers, whose explosive charge must have that person's name written on it, so later no. Arguing whose charge didn't explode. When clearing, there was 1 charge that didn't explode. I said to Mui, "You leave it to me. I'll do it. You stand here, watch, don't let anyone enter." Standing outside, I groped into the bunker. It was dark inside the bunker, both dark and smoky. I felt the explosive charge, took it out, clamped another one, attacked again, successfully. Then practicing digging secret tunnels. Digging on the riverbank was easy, but digging in the village was difficult. The location for creating a secret tunnel was chosen by the squad. There were 2 ways. 1 was digging small, then expanding gradually. 2 was digging wide, then narrowing gradually. The time practicing digging secret tunnels, I took advantage of a piece of land next to the buffalo shed of a civilian house, dug up soil, spread it out to make a bed for planting vegetables on top of the tunnel. The tunnel door slipped into the buffalo shed, so it was very difficult to detect. Due to organizing camouflage well, my squad was praised by the company commander for doing good tunnel camouflage and hiding secret tunnel doors. Swimming practice was also very hard. Knowing how to swim, still had to practice breaststroke or how to swim without being exposed, then practicing walking on tiles, climbing walls so as not to be detected, attacking cities, attacking fuel depots, attacking airports. Had to practice all. Attacking cities we learned right in Sante at the place of the Sunday Theatre now. Training discipline was very strict. A soldier in the same squad as me forgot a shovel out at the training field. The squad leader made the whole squad run 5 kilometers before being allowed to eat. Now people say that is corporal punishment, but back then it wasn't said like that. It was the motto: training field sweats, battlefield sheds less blood. Thanks to serious training and frequent heavy marching drills, technical subjects such as shooting, detecting, removing mines, digging secret tunnels, lying in secret tunnels, and martial arts of my platoon all achieved good grades. Some subjects achieved excellent. After 1 year and 9 months of training, I was promoted from private 2nd class to private 1st class. During the training time in Fusan, we stayed in civilian houses. My squad at that time stayed at Mrs. Che's house. We often called her Mother Chai. Mother's husband went to the south since 1954, later learned he went to Tien Phua Quang Nam, then remarried a widow who was a martyr's wife, while Mother stayed back farming, raising children. Mother had a son named Chi, same age as me. Chi was very gentle, healthy, but because the family had a father migrating to the south, the commune didn't call for enlistment, stayed in the village to farm. Mother Chai loved us very much, and we did too. Besides training time, whenever having a little free time, each kid did a job to help Mother. Every morning going to the market, Mother often called me out to stand at the alley to welcome because she thought I had a light spirit. Lucky when Mother prepared to go, I had to run to the gate first, greet Mother, touch the basket, touch the yoke. Coming back from the market, Mother bought separately for me 2 rolled cigarettes. Later, when I returned to find Mother Chi again asked to be adopted when my family moved to the south, I welcomed Mother in to play for a few days. When Mother died, I went out to mourn. Nearly a year of training, our food level was increased to 1 dong 6 hao a day. Mother Chi said, "You guys are preparing to go to the battlefield here." In the unit, although no one disseminated specifically, but we were reminded by platoon officers to try to study well to end the training session with high results and ready to receive orders to go south to fight. In early December 1973, we were given leave by the company commander. Before entering the battlefield, the leave time was 11 days. I said goodbye to comrades walking and hitchhiking, rushing home immediately. Arriving home, everyone gathered around asking stories until evening. After dinner, my mother said, "While you were away at home, Dad and Mother went to Mr. and Mrs. Tiep's house to place betrothal gifts, asking for her next door to be daughter-in-law, waiting for you to return to hold the wedding." Hearing Mother say that, I said, "I still have to go south to fight. Is our family doing so too hastily?" Mother said, "No more opinions. The two families have decided you return. This time must marry a wife. Hoa here is Triyu the Hoa. Her house is separated from my family by a hill. Wanting to go over, just need to follow the bank of a few fields." I heard the ancestor of Hoa's family was originally from Than Hoa, then a branch went to Hai Duong, then went up to establish a business in Lap Thach Vin Phu. Loving Mother and family, loving Hoa too, I agreed to organize the wedding during the leave. Before finishing the leave days, I determined to return from leave according to regulations. Hoa took me to Viet Tri bus station, then returned to school in Phu. To the young couple, parted in attachment. All love couldn't be said into words. Hoa couldn't hold back emotions and burst into tears. I returned to the unit feeling the backpack on my shoulder heavier. 2 days after receiving the order to march into the battlefield, we received new uniforms, food, and weapons. Like everyone else, I was issued an AK with half the ammunition load, 2 grenades, a dagger, a Chinese lighter with 40 flints, 2 sets of Tuchao uniforms, 2 sets of Special Forces uniforms, nylon sheet hammock, tulle mosquito net, a set of blue worker clothes to wear for camouflage when passing through areas with teams supervising the implementation of the Paris Agreement, dry provisions 701702, plus a medicine bag including full bandages, hemostatic drugs, anti-snake bite drugs, and 200 grams of MSG. Totaling equipment weapons I had to carry was over 25 kilograms. Rice was put on trucks, enough reserve for 10 days. Our equipment was complete, but when arriving at the battlefield, Chow clothes couldn't be used because in the south, throughout many rainy months, only Liberation Army clothes were used for quick drying. When the unit started marching, I received the duty of liaison for the company immediately. That night, the company political officer was Second Lieutenant Tran Quang Du. Brother Du was from Kam Nam Commune Kamexuian District, Hattin Province. He enlisted in July 1967, had fought in the southern battlefield in 69. He went to study at the Special Forces Officer School Course 1, graduating, then returned to work as a training officer at Special Forces Battalion 29 Regiment 62. Brother Du had a small stature, gentle personality, but very principled in later years. I also worked with him for some years, both during the anti-American Resistance War and when in the Cambodian battlefield after 1975. When I received the duty of liaison for Brother Du, the company command had a previous liaison named Dan. The company command's house didn't have enough sleeping space for both liaisons, so in the evening I returned to sleep at Mother Chi's house. In the last days of the training course at night, the company command often issued movement alarm orders to check the combat mobility of the unit. As a liaison soldier, besides carrying my own military equipment weapons, I also had to carry the equipment of the company command when required to handle quickly. When there was an alarm, I secretly wore shoes to bed. Once Brother Du went to check, discovered he criticized me for coping. On December 25, 1973, our unit received orders to be ready to receive missions to enter the battlefield to fight. Exactly on the afternoon of December 25th, the entire unit received food supplies, then prepared for the long march. Christmas night, the weather was cold and it was late, but Mother Chi still sat boiling water in the kitchen. Perhaps Mother tried to stay awake to say goodbye to us. Before going to the company assembly point, I went into the kitchen to greet tonight. We march into the battlefield. Mother, stay healthy. Okay, when the South is liberated, I will return to visit Mother. Silent for a while, Mother only said, "You guys go south, haven't seen any come back to visit Mother. Go, Mother wishes you hard legs, soft stones, peace. In the country, remember to return to Mother." I replied yes, and suddenly felt my nose sting. At 10 at night on December 25, 1973, we started marching. The units marching south were organized into a battalion led by Brother Do Viet Loy as battalion commander, Brother Ho Trang as political officer, while many other cadre staff remained to continue training duties. We marched by motorized vehicles. Before we step back into the smoke and fire of the battlefield to relive these unforgettable memories, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps ensure that the sacrifices and the youth of these soldiers are never forgotten. Now let's return to the front lines. Arriving at the Kon Tum station, we were ordered to get off the trucks to march on foot because this road section was frequently bombed by enemy aircraft, so marching on foot was required to ensure safety. While preparing to march on foot, we received orders to get on trucks again to continue south. The road gradually sloped down the highlands, receded behind the convoy, followed National Highway 13, running to Loc Ninh District, Binh Phuoc Province, then continued along the temporary road made by engineers to return to base C-50 at Soi No North Tay 9. C-50 was the unit receiving troop groups from the north entering the B-2 battlefield, from where they would be distributed to various battlefields. Arriving at C-50 exactly during Tet, battalion consisting of 5 companies did not keep the organization as when marching, but was divided and distributed to many different units. Company commander Nguyen Van Ninh and the political officer were transferred to the Military Intelligence Department of the General Staff of the Liberation Army of South Vietnam, at that time called for short the Region General Staff. I, along with 39 other soldiers, was also transferred to the Region Military Intelligence Department, specifically the 46th Reconnaissance Battalion. The Region Military Intelligence Department was born on October 23, 1961, at the same time as the establishment of the Region General Staff, then called the Military Intelligence Section of B-2, led by Uncle Tran Van Dan Halias, Batran. The section's strength at this time had more than 10 officers and soldiers, consisting of intelligence, reconnaissance, military intelligence, and communication sections. When we arrived, the section had turned into a department with training sections, cartography, general research, battlefield research. The 46th Reconnaissance Battalion, directly under the Military Intelligence Department, led by Brother Thai Dui Luoc as battalion commander, had been announced by the company commander the previous evening. In the morning, we lined up to hear the list read. Whoever had their name called went. I also went. We were led by a person to the new unit. The base of the 46th Battalion was then stationed in a forest, located about 15 kilometers as the crow flies southwest of Dong Tam, Loc Ninh intersection, Binh Phuoc Province. After being at the battalion base for about a week, the company commander told me there was a nursing class for you to go study. I decided not to go study nursing. I answered him, I only want to stay in the combat unit. The next day, the company commander said again, there is a military geography class. I asked what military geography was. He answered, it means learning to draw diagrams, enemy maps, drawing perspective drawings, panoramic drawings, then determining positions, generally doing cartography, doing military topography. Just then some brothers from the battalion came out. One said, this is a profession, doing both military topography and being an artist. In the staffing, each squad has one person who will do cartography. I heard and felt excited. Yes, studying that is okay, because studying that also means going through fences. So among us, there were a few people going to study nursing, a few studying communications, 2 people studying photography, others returning to combat units. Only I alone went to study military geography. The military geography class at that time was organized by the Region Military Intelligence Department, consisting of lessons on military geography, local geography, cartography. For scouts, the whole class had only about more than 10 brothers. Specifically, the cartography major had Dongyen Thoyen Vu Duk Tuyen Nguyen Yuan Weme and some other brothers. The class teachers included Brother Hayo from Hai Duong, an officer in the research department of Department 2 from Hanwai, and Brother Nguyen Kung, Tron Chief of Staff of the 46th Battalion. We learned very carefully about compasses, military maps, especially the skill of determining standing positions, recognizing terrain when there is no compass or map. For example, looking at a rock, you must know which direction. Looking at a tree, knowing where is east, where is west if there is no sun. We also had to learn how to cut through the forest, according to azimuth angles, how to enter enemy bases and draw diagrams, panoramic drawings, perspective drawings. The study location was about a few kilometers from Tonglachon post of the Saigon Army. At that time, the enemy was still occupying. studying in the base area, but our life was very difficult. Brothers had to go dig cassava to eat. Sometimes superiors supplied a little mung bean sesame seeds. Mung beans could be cooked to eat, but sesame seeds could not be cooked, only new to roast to make salt to eat with boiled bamboo shoots. Also, because of the austere life before going to B, I weighed 60 kilograms, but after liberation I only had 51 kilograms. At that time, to find food for the brothers every afternoon, I took the opportunity to trap animals. At this time, the forest in North Tay 9 still had many wild animals. Some nights, I trapped 2 or 3 mouse deer, sometimes even trapped monitor lizards. Perhaps partly because since childhood I had followed my father to hunt wild animals, familiar with mountainous terrain, before that attended Special Forces class, so I performed quickly and accurately the contents of cutting forest paths, drawing panoramic maps, determining standing points. After a month, the class ended. Thanks to the knowledge learned here later, I cut through the forest best in the Military Intelligence Department of Military Region 7. Walking in the forest, I never got lost. When commanding troops on combat march, my unit rarely stepped on mines or was ambushed, because I never led troops along any existing path, but only cut through the forest to go fields also cut, not following trails, therefore few casualties, high combat efficiency, trusted by brothers. Later reflecting, I was very grateful for this class. At the end of April 1974, ending the course, I was rated excellent and assigned to the cartography team of the 46th Reconnaissance Battalion. Speaking a little about the Reconnaissance Battalion of the Region Military Intelligence Department, established in 1964 on October 28th, that was the time the U.S. switched to a new strategic plan named Johnson-McNamara, essentially an improved Staley-Taylor plan with efforts to push the special war strategy to the peak, preparing to introduce U.S. combat troops and Allied troops into the South Vietnam battlefield. At the same time, deploying attacks on the north by Air Force and Navy, the force of the Republic of Vietnam at this time increased from 354,000 to 471,000 names, of which their regular troops had 245,000 names. Specifically in the South, they arranged up to 62% of the regular troops in the entire South. When newly established, the 46th Battalion consisted of 2 companies bearing designations 21 and 230. Company 21 was originally the main assault company of Regiment 2, also called Q762, while Company 230 was originally the Special Forces Reconnaissance Company of the Region Command. Later, Company 21 changed designation to Company 1 and Company 230 changed to Company 3. The battalion command at that time consisted of brothers Nguyen Van Duyen, Battalion Commander, Nguyen Ton, Tanan Political Officer, and Nguyen Van Thuc, Deputy Battalion Commander, Nguyen Van Tung, Deputy Political Officer. Besides, the reconnaissance force of the 46th Battalion Department 2 also introduced a group of young reconnaissance officers, 12 officers who had graduated from the reconnaissance faculty at Infantry Officers School 1, trained for another 6 months in campaign reconnaissance and espionage operations. The 46th Reconnaissance Battalion had the task of organizing reconnaissance outposts combined with observation reconnaissance, building people's military intelligence bases at targets and mobile route points related to the area to provide news about developments and troop movements of the enemy, investigating enemy grasp such as unit designation, troop strength, weapons, drawing defensive diagrams, operating rules, organizing prisoner capture, exploiting news, organizing specialized armed reconnaissance training, supplementing reconnaissance forces for main force units of the region and military zones. Although the Paris Agreement on ending the war and restoring peace in Vietnam was signed, the Saigon puppet government refused to implement the ceasefire clause but sent troops flooding the territory to massively pacify and encroach on liberated areas. From mid-1974, our troops also urgently prepared for the dry season activities of 74-75. The war situation was still as tense as a violin string. I then carried my backpack back to the unit, reporting to the battalion command. The battalion command at this time included brothers Tran Van Bup alias Bup's son, former battalion commander, Tran Xiem political officer, Nguyen Mein Hot, deputy political officer. Brother Tran Xiem was from Diep Nong Commune, Hung District de Bin Province. His personality was very open, but also very strict. Battalion commander Thai Dui Luke had been transferred to work in the north. When Corps 4 was established on July 20, 1974, the Region Military Intelligence Department mobilized a number of officers and soldiers of the 46th Battalion to serve as the Corps for building the Reconnaissance Battalion for Corps 4. The Reconnaissance Battalion of Corps 4 kept the old designation as 46. The remaining units of the old 46th Battalion changed designation to the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion. I stayed with the 47th Battalion. Due to the force being split, superiors transferred to the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion. A number of officers such as Captain Huang Theo, Lieutenant Nguyen Bois, brothers Nengo Binin Yum, Kiat brother Nguyen Bois was appointed Deputy Battalion Commander. The battalion was also reinforced with a technical reconnaissance platoon, ultra-short wave, a special forces team, a 72 portable missile detachments, 12.7mm anti-aircraft machine guns, and the campaign reconnaissance cluster of Detachment 7 currently holding on to Dean Mountain since 1964. After stabilizing the organization, the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion was assigned the task of organizing an attack to destroy the communication base of the Saigon Army at the top of Baden Mountain. The policy of the Region Command was to remove this stronghold, blinding their eyes and ears, expanding the control area of the resistance forces in the northwest direction of Saigon, feinting to mislead, so that the region's main force could execute the Route 14 Phuo Clo campaign. Baden Mountain, 986 meters high above sea level, is the highest mountain in the southeast region, blocking the gateway in the north-northwest direction of Saigon. From the beginning of the resistance war against the U.S., the Saigon Army occupied and built here a communication base on the mountaintop. This communication base was a center for relaying, broadcasting, communicating, observing, using firepower to show the Dunong Mine Shore War Zone and the North Tay Ninh base area at that time. To protect the base, the enemy built a very solid defensive fortification system around the base. There were from 5 to 7 layers of barbed wire fences below, and between fence layers were anti-intrusion mines. Inside the last barbed wire layer were 18 bunkers built by them with reinforced concrete. The enemy force at the Baden Mountain base had 2 companies, 1 technical company and 1 security company. The terrain in the Baden Mountain area was very complex and dangerous. Steep mountain slopes, rocks piled on rocks, trees growing, obscuring. If wanting to deploy an attack on the base, troops had to climb the mountain slope more than 1,000 meters. Before the battle from June 74, we organized target reconnaissance. The reconnaissance force was divided into 5 prongs from 5 directions, secretly crawling to approach the target. I was then assigned the task of going with the battalion command on the 4th prong. 5 prongs crawled in, but only 4 prongs met the enemy. The prong of Company 6, led by Deputy Company Political Officer Lavan Thuok from Tam Duong District, Vinh Phus Province, when reaching about 15 meters from the bunker, stepped on a mine. The mine exploded. Brother Thuok sacrificed only. About a dozen meters from the enemy bunker, the entire prong was forced to retreat. After that, the prongs continued to infiltrate the target until the end of October 1974. Not counting the wounded, the number of sacrifices included Deputy Platoon Leader Quyen from Thay Bin, Platoon Leader Nam from Hoa Bine Hand, Company Commander Nengan Yejias Nam and An. Brother Naaman was a very gentle person and an exemplary commander. At the end of 74, he was allowed by superiors to go home to get married. His wife was an overseas Vietnamese living in Siem Reap Town, Cambodia. Just gave birth to a child more than a month ago. He was being given leave by the unit to help his wife. But due to the requirement of preparing for the campaign, the head of the Military Intelligence Department came to encourage him to go reconnoiter the Baden Mountain target. Brother Ainch happily accepted the mission and sacrificed. Facing the difficulties mentioned above, the battalion shifted to reconnaissance from the Kidon direction, and the target the prongs infiltrated reached the enemy bunkers. From the reports of prong leaders, the help of an internal officer of ours, and the direct reconnaissance results, the cartography team consisting of me and Brother Han sketched the entire base area and the enemy's defensive system. Also from reconnaissance results, the battalion command built a combat plan and had a sand table built for units to organize practice to prepare to attack the communication base of the Saigon Army on Baden Mountain. The force participating in the battle was organized into 4 attack prongs on 4 directions. The first prong attacked bunker cluster number 10, led by Brother Thai as prong leader, Brother Ko as political officer. The second prong had the task of attacking bunker cluster number 3, led by Brother Chin as prong leader, Brother Truong as political officer. The third prong attacked bunker cluster number 15, led by Brother Thang as prong leader, Brother Bin, later Brother Boy as political officer. The fourth prong attacked bunker cluster number 18, led by Brother Tu as prong leader, Brother Thu as political officer. Entering the battle, Brother Tu sacrificed right in the first burst of fire. Brother Duok replaced him, and also sacrificed while surrounding the enemy. After that, Brother Tri was assigned as prong leader. Previously at Ba Den Mountain, there was an espionage cluster of ours. Cluster leader Vu Hoa was transferred to be an assistant to Brother Tam, Long the chief commander of the battle. The cluster divided into two groups. One group organized shooting low-flying aircraft from Core Mountain. The remaining group acted as a reserve force for the region military intelligence department in charge by New Xuan Se. 2 days before the battle, I was transferred to be a liaison for Mr. Hong Theo. He was from Bin Duong, also nicknamed Tam Theo. Mr. Tam Theo from the Region Military Intelligence Department was sent to the Ba Den Mountain front as a combat supervision officer on the attack direction from bunker number 15 to bunker number 18. After our troops secretly moved to the assault departure position on the night of December 6th, early morning of December 7th, 1974, the battalion simultaneously opened fire. The battle took place extremely fiercely, our three prongs infiltrating, cutting fences. All suffered casualties. When crawling to the fence, Mr. Theo whispered in my ear, "Oh, do you know how to detect mines?" I said I learned but haven't detected real mines. Ever hearing my answer, Mr. Theo said just calmly, "Detect very carefully this area." I crawled up using hands to detect tripwires and using hands to feel the ground, to detect pressure mines in the night, messy rocks and earth. It was very difficult to distinguish. I continued to detect deep inside the rock, niche sweat pouring out, although at night, on Ba Den Mountain, it was very cold. Suddenly my hand touched the cold steel shell of an M67 grenade. Naturally, my spine went cold. Hands wanted to freeze. Trying my best to calm down, I thought briefly a planted grenade must be very gentle, groping for the tripwire and the safety pin lever. Groping forever, but didn't see the wire anywhere nor the pin lever. So lucky this was a grenade. The enemy threw down from the outpost, but perhaps a dud, probably for a long time. Knowing that, but I was still cautious, gently bringing the grenade out, stuffing it into a rock crevice, so no one could step on it, then retreating to report to Brother Theo. While our prongs infiltrated, one prong only moved about 2/3, one prong about 1/2 the rest, only advanced a short distance. When the enemy detected, they used firepower to block, fiercely forcing a switch to organizing a forced attack in a completely disadvantageous position. Enemy firepower from the mountain shot down like sowing seeds. Our troops suffered many casualties. By near morning, the command of the battle ordered the entire force to withdraw, replenish B-40, B-44 and firepower sniper rifles, then practiced besieging, blocking aid, cutting supplies, waiting for an opportunity to finish off the target. At 7 in the morning the same day, thinking the Liberation Army had withdrawn, the enemy pushed out, was fired upon, and intercepted by the attacking force, forced to run back into the post. About 30 minutes later, enemy artillery fired rapidly. At this time, I, along with Heo, a wired communication soldier from Thatcha district, Hating province, were cleaning a rock cave to make a shelter when artillery hit. At that time, outside the cave entrance, Brother Hong, communication soldier from Hayapua district, Tabacol province, was squatting, cranking the phone low 1234 when an airburst shell exploded. He was hit by a shrapnel piece of the airburst shell, piercing through the upper right arm, down to the groin. Because of this, I often jokingly told some close brothers Hong dropped a bullet looking forever but couldn't find. Facing the situation of extremely stubborn enemy troops, relying on solid fortifications to resist fiercely, Deputy Battalion Political Officer Nguyen Boy suggested Brother Hong thou use a loudspeaker to call on the enemy to surrender. The reason Brother Nguyen Boy suggested Brother Hoang Theo use a loudspeaker to call on the enemy to surrender was because he fought very well the enemy on the mountain, called him the Grey Tiger of Ba Den Mountain. At that time, although knowing that if revealing identity later, the enemy could take revenge on his wife and children, but Brother Hoang Theo still obeyed the order. He set up the loudspeaker, identifying himself as Tam Thaw, Grey Tiger of Ba Den Mountain, calling on soldiers to stop resisting, surrender, to receive clemency from the revolutionary government, return to family. In the days of besieging, encroaching, attacking, destroying, annihilating, officers and soldiers of our prongs endured enemy bombs and artillery pouring down with high intensity, regardless of day and night. Liaison soldiers, cooks, transport communication soldiers were extremely miserable. Liaison going with the commander had to run back and forth from the command post transmitting orders to sections holding on in front of the opening under artillery fire. The cook cooked rice for troops every morning standard. Each person each day got 1 kilogram of rice, 1 dried lizard fish, nearly as big as a big toe, and 2 liters of water, not counting each bunker, had an extra reserve can of 5 liters. The transport unit in the Ba Pagoda direction, led by Brother Tran Kong Man as team leader, Brother Tran Quang Ju as political officer tasked with moving rice water ammo up the mountain and bringing wounded brothers back the path from east to west, had to pass through an area called the Sliding Rock Slab halfway up the mountain, running from east to west on the rock slab. There were absolutely no trees the enemy on the post could see clearly, so every time passing transport soldiers had to run. In the transport team was Brother Han, previously in the same cartography team, with me now entering the Baden battle, transferred to transport due to the transport team lacking people. One day, delivering rice to my bunker, Brother Han gave me an extra dried fish, then said, "Give you an extra one today. Surplus a piece when hungry." I never forget the story of the dried fish. Brother Han gave extra and often mentioned this story forever. Bringing wounded soldiers down the mountain was much more difficult. Rocky mountain slopes had vertical places. One wounded soldier needed up to 5-7 people to transport in front, 1 to 2 people to transport behind, 3 to 5 people to hold back. Sometimes had to use rope tied to the stretcher, winding rope around trees to lower gradually despite enemy bombs and artillery. Taking advantage of darkness, our 4 prongs continued cutting fences, opening paths, opening gradually inside, ready to attack by January 5, 1975. Almost all prongs had advanced to the last fence. After 31 days and nights being besieged and attrition by the Liberation Army, by 1 in the morning on January 6, 1975, the enemy troops were forced to abandon the base to flee. We pursued, destroying a number of names, capturing a psychological warfare officer and a communication sergeant. The U.S. puppet communication base on Bay Den Mountain was leveled. We destroyed 6 enemy transceivers, captured hundreds of weapons, documents, communication machines, and military supplies. Troops completely mastered the base. Bay Den Mountain was completely liberated on the same day as the liberation of Phuoc Long Town. Throughout the process of besieging, gradually opening the door to attack the enemy, 67 officers and soldiers of the reconnaissance battalion sacrificed and were wounded. Just counting in 1 enemy artillery shelling at the command bunker of the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion, 2 soldiers, Van and Pham Van Nam, sacrificed right outside the bunker entrance. Political assistant Lian sacrificed inside the bunker. Also inside the bunker, battalion commander Tran Ba Sun and communication assistant Nguyen and Quiet were seriously wounded. Separately, deputy company commander commanding Prong B Nguyen Van Duc from Kanjuok Long and province sacrificed only much. Later was his body found. Later, we built at Ba Pagoda Cave a memorial stele recording the names of 181 martyrs of the Military Intelligence Department, including the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion of the Liberation Army of South Vietnam. Losing the Bay Den communication base, Nguyen Van Thu directed the 3rd Corps together with paratroopers to organize recapture. The 47th Reconnaissance Battalion continuously fought against enemy counterattacks. Brother Tran Van Bup was wounded, having to transfer to the rear for treatment. Superiors transferred Brother Trine Hyap Hoa, alias Nam Ha, to be the battalion commander. Brother Hoa from Tre Vinh was of Khmer origin, participating in the revolution since 1952, gathered to the north. Then he was transferred to Special Forces Regiment 367 and entered to fight in the southeast battlefield continuously for many days, especially the days from 23rd to 26th of January 1975, the Saigon Army organized attacks, attempting to retake Ba Den Mountain. After each bombing shelling on the mountaintop, enemy infantry from the foot of the mountain combined with paratroopers massively organized attacks. Officers and soldiers of the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion, combined with Tay-9 armed forces, fought bravely, defeating enemy attacks, forcing them to abandon the plot to retake the Bay Den base area. On February 28, 1975, the 47th Reconnaissance Battalion handed over the Bay Den Mountain stronghold area to the 14th Tay-9 Battalion to hold to return to receive other missions.